Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us live on the programme. Alex, we know that you're pretty nervous about asking the first question, so you better go first.
They're giving me a bit of stick, Paul, just for context, because I did ask Joel Veltman if he was nervous about training in front of the fans, which obviously Sam Matterface and Darren Ambrose think was a bit of a ridiculous question. I'll ask you, how are we feeling a few days after that defeat against Tottenham? Obviously lots of controversial decisions. We know that you've been in touch with the PGMOL. Is that going to go any further? Where are we at this moment in time?
No, I think we've made our feelings clear about what happened on Saturday. We've certainly listened to Howard Webb's view, and we've received an apology, which obviously we're grateful for. It doesn't get the points back or the opportunity to win the game back, but we are where we are. We're turning our attentions now to Saturday's game at Chelsea, which we're really looking forward to. I think it's really important that with such an important run of games to go, that we put Saturday behind us and focus on the football.
Paul, what was actually in the apology from Howard Webb? What did they discuss? What did they apologise to you for? And did they say about how they were going to put things right in the future?
I don't think it's fair to go into the ins and outs, because I think that's a matter between the club and PGMOL, and I would say that Howard was incredibly responsive and helpful in explaining what he felt had happened and why. We've had to maintain our dignity and show the respect that the officials deserve. They've made a mistake here and there, and we're disappointed and frustrated and angry, because it was a vital game for us, a really important game. But as I said, it's very easy to dwell on these things, and the whole club becomes consumed by them. We have to be consumed by the game that's coming up, which is another important one away to Chelsea, and then an FA Cup semi-final. And they're the things now that are ahead of us. They're the things that we can influence. They're the things that we can actually win. We can't win Saturday's game. It's done, and we have to move on.
Paul, look, I know you don't want to dwell on the apology too much, but is it enough for the apology? It's not the first time you've had this season, and as you said, it was a vital game. The Champions League potentially could be over because of those decisions. Is an apology enough? Well,
Howard Webb and his team have to work with the group of officials that they have. Some are young, some are inexperienced, some have been in the game a lot longer. They want to improve things, they want to make things better, they want to apply the laws of the game more consistently, they want better communication between VAR and the on-field officials and vice versa. Ultimately, we know that this is a game played by humans, officiated by humans, and human error will sometimes come into it. We understand that. What we need to do is to make sure that these errors become less and less in the game and are eliminated as far as they possibly can be. And that's going to take time. We have to accept that. We have to be patient with Howard and his team, and we have to hope for better things in the future. What we can't do, and what I won't do, is to massively criticise match officials. It's a difficult job. We want younger people to come into the game to do this job. If we make it a horrendous environment for them to do that, they're not going to come into the game, and Howard Webb and his team are never going to be able to improve things, because they're going to have less and less people willing to do the job, and therefore less and less talent to work with. So we have to be balanced, we have to be reasonable. We can be disappointed, we can be frustrated, we can be angry, and obviously we want things to improve, but at the moment, as I said, we're focusing on Saturday, and that's the most important thing for us right now.
Absolutely. Paul, what a sensible way of looking at it.
Paul, when we last had you on the programme, you spoke about Roberto De Zerbi, and I think you said to me that you get worried every time the phone calls that it might be another chairman trying to prize your manager away. Obviously there are a couple of high profile vacancies that he's been attached to in Chelsea and Tottenham. Have any calls come in, and are you still confident that De Zerbi is committed to this Brighton project? Certainly that's what he's telling us in the media.
Only from the FA this weekend. No, I mean we're obviously delighted with the work Roberto's doing. He's an excellent coach, he's a really good human being, he does a fantastic job behind the scenes, off the pitch as well as on it. And as I've said many times before, the better we do, the better football we play, the more interest there is in our club, the more likelihood there is going to be interest in our people, and we have to be understanding of that and do all we can to make it as attractive for our people to stay here as possible, and obviously getting as high as we can in the league, hopefully pushing for a European place and pushing to get into a cup final will be the sort of things we can do to keep our people here.
He is a bit of a hothead, isn't he? He gets animated, he says what he thinks. Do you have to say to him, you're going to have to tone that down a little bit, otherwise we're going to find ourselves in trouble, because he has already received at least one red card, and he got another one at the weekend, although that was for failing to control his technical area, wasn't it? Not for something that he did specifically.
Yeah, I think Saturday was more of a technicality that the rules or the regulations, the laws of the game state that the two head coaches are responsible for their benches, and if the head coach is unable to control the bench, then they get the red card. I think if you look carefully at the footage, Roberto was the only one trying to calm things down, ironically. He was the one trying to push people away. But we understand that sort of scene isn't good for football. It isn't good for kids seeing it. We don't want that. None of our staff want that either. And obviously we will talk about that and try and do everything we can to make sure it doesn't happen again. But at the same time, we also all want passion in the game. We want to see coaches that are enjoying the moment as much as the fans and everybody else. But at the same time, there's that very, very narrow line where you have to sort of maintain your passion under the right levels of control and do the right thing.
Paul, you talk about enjoying the moment. I know you have a huge game against Chelsea coming up on Saturday, but how much are you looking forward to? How much are the supporters looking forward to an FA Cup semi-final against Manchester United?
Oh, it's fantastic. 40 years since we were in the final against United at Wembley, and obviously that one didn't go our way. We played well at Old Trafford earlier in the season, the start of the season actually, and won there. We know that United have improved through the season, and Erik Ten Hag has done a fantastic job with the team there. So we know it's going to be difficult, but we're playing well as well, and we can be confident going into that game that on our day we can give any team in the Premier League a decent game. But we know how difficult it's going to be, and obviously we've got a lot of respect for the team that we're playing against.
Do you dare to dream, Paul? Do you dare to dream about bringing European football here for the first time in the club's history? Do you dare to dream about being the chief executive as they lift their first ever major trophy? Can you allow yourself to have those kind of thoughts?
I have to dream, and I think every fan has to dream, and that's why we all argued so hard about against the European Super League, because that was potentially taking away dreams of fans and chief executives and owners. And we don't want that. We want a meritocracy to exist. We want the smaller clubs to have the opportunity to not only progress in the FA Cup but progress in the league as well. And for as long as I'm chief executive of the club, I'll continue to argue for those things, because we've got a fantastic game in this country and we should do all we can to preserve it.
Talking of dreams, talk about dream start. Evan Ferguson and the way he has settled into your team over the course of the last year or so. You picked him up under the noses at some bigger clubs who were scouting him from Ireland. He's seamlessly made the transition from youngster into Premier League striker. What sort of level do you think he can achieve? What do you compare him to in terms of his abilities? And have you been surprised by how well he's done so far?
Well, I think I probably should spend the next 30 seconds talking him down. The summer transfer window isn't that far away. No, he's a young lad. He's 18. He's come into the side. He's earned that right to play in the first team. He's trained very well. His attitude is excellent. He's served his time playing at the lower levels. And of course he's come into the team and he's taken that opportunity so far, but it's early days, and like all young players, there's no doubt going to be a time when his form and confidence dips, because that happens, but for the time being, he's doing really well. Roberto, I think, is managing and coaching him very, very well. The players respect what Evan does on the pitch. He's obviously got goals to show that he's got the talent and the quality to be out there. But we know he's got a long career ahead of him, and we're trying to manage him and manage expectations as best we can. So I think for Evan, it's about focusing on the next game and the rest of the season and seeing just how far he can push the talent that he's got.
Paul, thank you very much for joining us live from the Amex Stadium with Alex Crook down on the south coast. That's Paul Barber, who's the chief executive of Brighton. Must be a great position to be in, chief executive of Brighton. Everybody wants your players, everybody wants your manager, everybody wants to come and watch you because you're playing great football. It's a dream time to be a Brighton fan, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. And take my Crystal Palace Alliance head off.
I was going to say, just say it through gritted teeth. It
certainly is. They seem to have recruitment like no other. They lose players, they lose manager, they replace them immediately with managers and players potentially better. When does the moment stop where, I know that they're not a selling club per se, but they sell players for the right price? When does that stop? Is that the moment now when they're heading for European football? They've got McElhenney, they've got Solly March, Caicedo they turned down, Mitomo's a superstar. Does that selling stop now?
Well, it might have not have stopped. It might have stopped if they've got into the Champions League, but if your club hadn't have robbed them of 3 points on Saturday.
It was the officials.
Brighton doing particularly well. They've got an FA Cup semi-final, which is upcoming, and that's live on talkSPORT in 10 days. So I'm looking forward to that, live from Wembley.